Top of the morning. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Yesterday I didn't get to do a whole hell of a lot. I apologize in advance. I was busy taking care of me things. We went down to my wife is an excellent researcher, and she found a deal on a car that I liked. The list price is a little over $15,000, and she found it on a special deal, one of a kind, get it while it's hot, for $10,600. Now I'm not naive. I've been in sales. I know how it works. Even at $10,600, the dealership is making money on it. Even if they show you the invoice, the dealership is making money on it, because the dealership is going to get rebates for selling the car, something akin to a rebate from selling the car from the manufacturer. And a lot of these dealerships, they haven't even bought the car. They are paying. They're paying to have it on their lot. They're paying like not a rental fee, but they have a contract with the manufacturer so they don't buy the car, but they have the car on their lot. And they're paying interest on it as if they'd bought it. Anyway, I don't know why I got off on that tangent. I have a lot of friends who sell cars, and because I've been a salesman, and they all tell me about how selling cars is the way to go and the way to make money. And I always tell them how, you remember when you used to have weekends off? Do you remember when you used to have holidays off? Do you miss that? Is it worth it? Because I mean, you could make good money. You can make good money as a car salesman. If you're a good salesman, you can make good money as a car salesman. And I know some of these guys, you get to doing well. You get up into those finance managers. What do they call them? They're the closers. It's the best salesmen who go up into those, because those guys, they sell stuff that just goes 100% to the dealership, so they get good chunks on everything. Anyway, oh yeah, and I believe the car dealerships will sell your loan if they end up having to finance you if they end up financing you, not at 0% through the manufacturer or something like that, but if they finance you through like a credit agency, they end up selling that. They get kickbacks for finding that customer for the credit agency, like the bank or a credit union or whatever. Anyway, wow, short story made long. So my wife found this one car that I liked. It's the style that I liked. It's the brand that I liked, because it's got to be a Ford. And $10,600, maybe some change. But it was one of a kind. So my wife also loves to play secretary. God bless her. She's a good woman. Anyway, so she calls all these dealerships in the area, and she sets up little appointments with them. But we're going to start off the day with this one for $10,600, because it's a lot. I'm going to call it a loss leader, but it's not. I know they still made money on it, and it's not a bait and switch, because, well, they did have one apparently, but it's one of those ones where somebody's going to buy it like right now, but then they got you on the lot and you need a car, so they hope they're going to get you into something that's going to have a little more padding on the bone. Well, that's not the way I roll. So We printed out that for 10.6. We went to the first dealership, the dealership that was supposed to have it. And imagine my shock when they said, nope, sorry, we sold that one yesterday. Now, the fact that we pulled this one up at like 9 o'clock at night, that apparently doesn't mean anything. Apparently they sold it before we pulled it up, so anyway. But it was bad. My wife didn't like it. She got the heebie-jeebies about that place. It seemed sketchy. And the first guy who came up, the one that my wife had made the appointment with, apparently I scared the living daylights out of him, because he handed me off to a sales manager. He was a salesman. He handed me off to a sales manager, like quick. My wife thought he looked like Brett Michaels, the sales manager. I know a lot of salesmen, car salesmen. He reminded me of your standard car salesman. Cocky. It's a little beyond confident kind of cocky, but he probably can sell. And there's a lot of people who respond to it. And tats up his arms. Anyway. And the first thing I do is I joke. I want to see where I am. And he didn't respond to my jokes. He didn't get them. In air quotes, didn't get them. And remember, I have the humor of a 13-year-old. And this guy had tats up his arms. And if anybody's going to get the humor of a 13-year-old, it's going to be a guy with tats up his arms. But he didn't want to play. And that's interesting. And he took us to the first car. And it wasn't even a new car. And I told him new car. And I told him no trade-in. But he had somebody from the office circling my wife's car, looking to see if that was going to be the trade-in. You know, they're calling to get numbers on it. They were running it or whatever to try to figure out what the trade-in value would be ahead of time, etc. And no, dude, like, this is all wrong. So I'm like, hey, do you have this car? He's like, oh no, we sold that one yesterday. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. Take it easy, and we left. And the reason why we did that is because if he had another car that he could get comparable, if he could play with it, then his first inclination would be to stop us from going. But we weren't good customers. We weren't what he was looking for. He wasn't gonna negotiate. So that's fine, you know. If apparently in that situation, he had less to lose than I did by me walking away. So that's fine. So we ended up going to a second dealership. And the second dealership is the place where we ended up buying. But we ended up buying, I think we made good decisions. I say we. My wife is lovely and she's great at researching, but she's not great at buying cars. And she loves to buy all the warranties on everything. And she falls in love with the car and then she'll buy it whatever the price. So she always takes in someone to negotiate for her. But anyway, she was my wingman. Never take her to buy suits, because you'll go in to buy 2 suits and you'll end up buying 4. Oh, that looks good on you too. Oh, you should get them all. Oh, she should be a saleswoman. Anyway, so we go to the second dealership, and the guy that we were supposed to meet, the guy my wife had set up an interview with, or an appointment with, wasn't there. So we got the internet sales manager, Sweet Baby Ray at Future Ford in Roseville. His name is Raymond. But the very first thing I did is I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going to call you Sweet Baby Ray. And he rolled with it. And that's always a good sign. If he's willing to play, if he's willing to have fun, that means he's willing to work with you. And I told him kind of what I was looking for in the general kind of ballpark of what I was looking for. Not price. You don't talk about price. Do not talk about price. He's going to ask you about price. He's going to say, I have this really cool car to show you. And don't ask him about the price. Don't ask him about the price. If you know what you want, just go and look at it and be like, well, you know what? This isn't really what I like. No, I could have paid more for a car, but that isn't what I went into there to do. And I'm still poor and I want to use my money for other things. So Anyway, so he showed me up the line of Fiestas to the line of Focuses, and boy, he sat me in this one with a racing seat on it, and apparently had a 2-liter turbo engine, and you could see the brakes through the wheels. And I was like, no. At that point, I was done. I was like, well, I wasn't done, but at that point, I was done with the line. And I'm like, no, this isn't. We're not going up here. I don't like the look of it. I'm not an 18-year-old boy with this being my first car, and I'm trying to get laid in the back seat. I don't want racing seats in my car. You know, if I do have to have a client in it for whatever reason, like if I'm going with a client to court or something, then I want it to look less ostentatious. And, you know, then I kind of started narrowing it down. I did see the Ford Eco something or the other, Eco Sport. This is 4-wheel drive. It's the same basic chassis as the Focus, but I liked it. Anyway, it wasn't what I was looking for. It was less miles per gallon, and I was looking for miles per gallon and cheap. No, it would have been about 20 grand more. I'm sorry, 10 grand more. Could have done it, yes. Didn't want to, though. So anyway, we take a couple out for test drives, and they were automatics, and they felt like turds. Oh, they felt terrible. A 1.6 liter engine in an automatic, just, it feels horrible. I don't know why anybody would drive that. I was also very disappointed to find out that it looks like Ford is going to be discontinuing V8s in their trucks, and that's just sad. I like V8s. Anyway, oh, this is quite the tangled web we have here. Anyway, so I asked about manual, and the guy's like, "Well, yeah, I've got some manuals, but not a whole lot of them." Can you drive manual? Yeah, yes, dude. My very first car was a Volkswagen Bug. Or was it a Beetle? Yeah, it was a Beetle, and that was obviously a manual transmission. Anyway, so taking this thing out, and the 1.6 in a manual feels way better, so much better. So I took it out for a little ride around. Scared the bejesus out of sweet baby Ray, because I don't think he was expecting the kind of me testing out the snappiness of it. It was pretty nice. I liked it. And it was the base model, because they just don't make the manual in the higher end ones. And he's telling me it's the base model, and I'm thinking in my head, well, the super secret sale one was a base model, so I'm good at this point. I've got a starting position for my negotiation. I know what they will go down to, because apparently they'll go down to about 10.6 and still make money, or they'll be willing to sell it at that price. So the negotiation started, and the very first thing you want to do is you want to make it clear that, yeah, you want to buy it, but, you know, buy it today, buy it next week, next month, it's fine. I made it very clear that I have my truck at home, and I've been driving my truck. I'm just looking for another car for fuel economy. You know, when I drive long distances, when I have to go to courts up in, you know, Marysville or San Mateo, or, you know, driving around town, I just want to get a better mileage per gallon. And I can wait. And so he came out, he did the whole standard thing. Here's the invoice, here's what we paid for it. So the list price again was a little over 15. And here's the list price. And so his invoice, and again, don't believe people just because they tell you this stuff, showed that they paid like 14 and change. He's like, yeah, and I'm willing to take $500 off of this price. And then, you know, there's like $3,000 in rebates. So it'd bring it down to like 11 and change. And I was like, no, I think you could do better than that. And he's like, oh, I've been upfront and honest with you the whole time. And I'm like, look, man, I'm not. You're a great guy. This isn't anything against you, sweet baby Ray, but I have been a salesman. I know these things. I know how they work, and that's fine. And we'll play the game. We'll dance the dance. But look, man, you want to sell this thing? Great. If you want me to, I'll just wait till it goes on sale again. I've seen these on sale at this price at 10.5, 10.6, and I'll just wait until I can see one at that price, or maybe cheaper, you know, because I'm sure there's still room for it to go down. I got time, and you have invested. At that point, it was about 3 hours into me. So, you know, you could have wasted this 3 hours, and I'll walk away, and, you know, I'll wait till I find a better deal, and I'll come back, and it might not be you getting that sale, or you could make things happen. Well, I just don't know. Like, I'm like, man, look, man, I've seen it. There was a loss leader for the other future Ford today for 10.6, and I didn't get it, but that's fine. You're gonna beat that price for me. So I ended up getting it for 10.4. Good, buddy. Yeah. And that was basically my story. As far as today goes, Common Joe, Ethics Instead, did contact me on the Common Joe video. I pinned his comment up at the top on the video where I called out him for being a no-show. And he contacted me, said he wanted to do it. I said it might be CJ Grisham if he pulls his head out of his ass and wants to debate me. If he doesn't do it, then I am more than willing to entertain Common Joe for an hour and a half, whatever, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific on Sunday. I don't believe he's gotten back to me. I asked him to instant message me on Discord. To the best of my knowledge, when I started this video, he had not. So may be on, may not be on. I don't know. Chicken Hawk, CJ Grisham, Tiny. He's still thinking he's in control of the negotiation, and again, he's not. Call me coward all day long. doesn't bug me one bit. Interesting things of note. There were 3 German Shepherds and a yellow lab that were off leash in the park, and it's not a dog park. You're supposed to have your dog on leash. And of course, they came running up, and of course, the owner was calling vainly for his dogs to come back to him. Luckily, nothing happened. Of course, my boy's all right. His dogs didn't start anything, but it was somewhat tense. I think a lot of people don't understand why rules are in place, like your dogs have to be on a leash. You might think my dogs are good, but you don't know what somebody else's dogs will do. And unfortunately, situations like dog parks, not dog parks, but city parks, work better because some people can't control their dogs, and maybe your dog is the perfect dog who heals automatically and is always right by your side. But again, you don't know what somebody else's dog is going to do. And finally, I saw a couple people having sex in a car on my walk this morning. There's the mean dog. That was interesting. I was walking by this car and I just happened to glance over because it was parked in a weird spot. I happened to glance over as I passed it because I noticed the window was like half down. And I'm like, well, that's weird that the window would be half down parked here where no one ever parks and there's no houses around it. And I know the female was, she was white because her butt was white and it was bouncing up and down. And I was like, oh, Lord. Oh Lord. If you're out in your car having sex at 6 o'clock in the morning, something's gone both terribly wrong and terribly right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.